You know, no one ever stops to think about the origins of any of the characters in the Pavel de San 09 universe. And it's mostly because all of the characters, their backstories are very simple, especially with Googie's. He's literally just Googie from Kirby. Like, it's pretty. There is a backstory, at least. But the one character that we don't really see a backstory for is yours truly. It's weird, considering I've been through it all. I've gone through transformations, gone I've gone to the afterlife. I've died and come back to life. And yet, no one knows where I've come from. Not even Pavel himself. And to that, I am here to explain the origins of the last Fuzzywuzz. Now, I did not start out as a Fuzzywuzz. Actually, I was born in the year 1229 AD. This was obviously a very long time ago, and if you're wondering how I'm still alive, I'll get to that. There will be a lot of unanswered questions and a few answered ones. Keep track. Pay attention. So I was born as a wat. Basically just a rat, but like different in the Pizza Tower universe. However, I was not the only child. I was one of 2,345 children, none of which remain to this day besides myself. You see, we all lived in the Pizza Tower. You know the one. However, this stupid Italian man decided to ruin everything by crumbling it down. No one believed me. They all thought it was fine. It was impossible. Couldn't happen. They stayed. But I ran. I couldn't save anyone. I thought, might as well save myself. So I did. I watched them all suffer. I heard their final screams. But I continued. I kept going. You see, us wats are like jellyfish. We are immortal. However, we can still be killed. So I had to live with the pain. Years, decades, centuries passed. I couldn't do anything. I was homeless. And since I was a baby, I couldn't get any sort of employment. And since there were no wats left, I could not be adopted because of the strict laws in this universe. I continued to live my life. I learned how to create things, how to invent. I eventually used this knowledge and scraped together pieces of scrap metal and different things to create the one thing that could help me survive. The one thing that could possibly help me. I created my most iconic weapon, the Block 19. I still have it to this day, but I keep it under lock and key, only to be used under the strictest and absolutely perfect time that is most necessary. I won't let myself spare a single bullet to anything that doesn't absolutely need it. So I took it, I created it, and I traveled to the one place in this universe that could help me. I traveled to the Temple of the Orb of Change. The Orb of Change is a very interesting object because though it has an absolutely terrible name, it has a lot more power than you can understand. But in order to use it, you must play by its rules. Rules that no one knows because no one dares touch it. But upon touching it, you obtain the power that you truly wish for. And the one side effect is that you can no longer be the same species you were before. Upon touching the Orb of Change for the first time, you are transformed into a creature that most likely doesn't exist. A creature that is a combination of all of your favorite pre-existing creatures combined. And that is when I became a Fuzzywuzz, and I obtained the power that I truly wished for. The power to invent anything. You might think, that's a terrible, that's like, what are you going to do with that? But if you think about it, that is one of the best things you could ask for. You are no longer bound to the Orb of Change. You can invent anything. That doesn't mean it has to be possible to invent. It just means you can make it. There's no limits. So I spent years, hundreds of years, creating it. A time machine. Not the GD level, but I did make it look like the GD level, even though I made it before the level came out. Ah, yes. I love it when there's inconsistencies in my plot. Anyways, I used this time machine to travel back to before the tower was destroyed. However, what I didn't know was there were some side effects to this time machine. You can't decide when it takes you back. It just takes you back to when you were born, and there is no coming back. The time machine will let you time travel to whenever you want in history, but it doesn't come with you. And I didn't know this. So I went back. I still was a Fuzzywuzz. There was no changing anything. Though you could say a lot about time paradoxes in this universe. That's not how that works. I eventually found my family, or what was my family, and decided to make a life for myself, to make use of this new situation. So eventually, found a wife, settled down, and had some children. They were known as the only other Fuzzywuzzes in existence. And one of them, you may know, he was actually born a little after I initially was. was the legend himself, Captain Jaden. That's right, Captain Jaden is my son. And that is why he is the only one of my family members that is a Fuzzywuzz. Notice how King Rat was a Wat, because he is actually related to my original self. However, Captain Jaden is related to this new me. And that's why he stayed alive, because he was a captain. Everyone somehow perished in the same terrible way as in the first timeline. But this time it wasn't because I couldn't get them out. It was because they accepted their fate. I don't know why. Don't know what could have convinced them that this was a good idea. But they chose to stay. They chose, if one person was left behind, they all would be. And they all died again. Every last one. I became one of two Fuzzywuzzes, the other being Captain Jaden, who sailed the 7 seas until he was eventually killed. However, I still lived. I kept on living centuries until the year of 2022. 800 years almost after I was born, or at least in this timeline. Technically it was over 1,000. But what made this terrifying was, to that day, I still held on to everything, but unable to create another time machine to go back and reverse everything, because it would not change. There was no point. I decided to keep inventing. I didn't really go anywhere, until I thought, what if I just used the Orb of Change again? So I infiltrated the temple again, slipped past the guards that at this point should not even, they should be fired. They suck. This is the second time I've broken in, and yeah, they're ass. Yeah. Anyways, but this time, oh yes, I knew what I was getting myself into. I had created a device that required only the power source of the Orb of Change. So I took it, I placed it into my universal collider. Why did I make this? Well, I got bored. I was over 1,000 years old by now. Yeah, I had nothing really to do. But I also knew that a universal collider could revolutionize the entirety of this planet. Finally, after creating it, I powered it up, and everything went dark. When I awoke, I was no longer in the Temple of the Orb of Change. The Orb of Change was nowhere near me. There was no Universal Collider. And I was in a place I've never seen. I was in modern day Wales. Specifically, very near to a very specific place that you may know. So I explored this new world, this new planet of collision between many, many universes. Many that I had heard of at least. But the most interesting is who came out of them. I first learned that people came from these universes through seeing them myself, but thought nothing of it. Until I met the first person that you could think of when you think of taxes. I met Gooey. Now, we immediately hit it off, and through an everlasting friendship, traversed the lands together, becoming the best of friends. And then we met this little loser sucks. I hate this guy. There was a time when I don't know what I was smoking then. No, this guy sucks. And over time, we became friends until, we started hating him, but he deserves it. He sucks. But besides that, that happened. And eventually we kept meeting people, but never really anyone that was that interesting until we met the person who was thought to be the most powerful creature in this universe. And the creator of a lot of things. He holds power none could contest, or at least he did. Eventually, we knew each other for some time. This happened over a year, until 2023. And I think you know what happened. Gooey doesn't pay his taxes. And if you're wondering why episode 1 has me as a must be some way I could flip this in, I can't explain that one. Ignore that little inconsistency doesn't get, that didn't happen, okay? Just pretend that's a Fuzzywuzz, alright? Because I'm not going to spend several weeks trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to think about that. Yeah, that's just ignore that. That's Gooey doesn't pay his taxes. One is, it exists. It's canon, not the character design though. That works. Yeah. And we kept going through the series. Transformations occurred between me and Beseeched, who I don't even know what happened there, I'm not gonna lie. But we kept going. Things happened. And eventually, we got to Puggy J Shenanigans. After Puggy J Shenanigans, we went back to Gooey Doesn't Pay His Taxes. Gooey Doesn't Pay His Taxes is amazing. But it's also useful. Gooey Doesn't Pay His Taxes holds the most important event that has ever been displayed in the Pavel the San 09 universe. My death. You see, after dying and returning back to life, I gained power that you could not fathom. And there's a reason behind that. Because Fuzzywuzzes are kind of silly, kind of wacky. They are a composition, a beautiful masterpiece comprising of a Wubbox, a Fuzzy Bee, a Wat, and Kirby. Yeah, I know, some very interesting combination, but yeah. And Fuzzywuzz has powers that you cannot think, you cannot even comprehend. However, because I traveled back in time to a universe where that never existed, none of those powers came with me. And I thought nothing of it. I just thought I was just a different creature. I didn't know I had powers. However, dying fixed everything. Because dying and returning back to life via the orb of change triggered all of it to come back. Don't ask how. It's way too long of an explanation. You can figure it out yourself. But I unlocked it. And I fused with the orb of change. I became one with it. And I unlocked true power. I became the most powerful creature in any of the universes. And of course, that means that I can solo fiction. Screw you, I can beat Goku. Can he beat Goku though? Yes, he can. But I don't know this. Or I didn't. You see, what you're watching right now is not a message, but more of an explanation. Because to you, I know you're watching this. Paul, Gooey, Beseed, Cats, even you, Vanilla. You took a break from drinking Monster to watch this. And yet, you have no idea where I am. That is because this is an explanation of why I'm gone. Why you haven't seen me in so long. I have been training, learning about myself, learning about my powers, what I possess, what I can do. And I've unlocked my true form, which I could show you. I could show you all the time. Or I could just become it. I just hope you can see with a really cool transformation. Like so. This is my true form. This is what a Fuzzywuzz Fuzzywuzz can truly become. And this is the most terrifying realization I could have made. Because there are more. The orb of change, upon heeding my request, had given me one terrible, awful, vile thing to worry about. I now had to worry about him. Wait a second. That's just me again. Sorry. Him. Yeah, I know it looks exactly the same. But that is who we like to call Zolg. Short for Zolgalgathon. Which are stupid names, which is why we call him Zolg. But another thing you could call him is quite literally what he is. Evil Poggy J. Evil Pokey J, whatever you want to call it. He was created from the depths of hell, and he was created to hunt me down. He is an exact replica with my exact powers, however amplified, meaning he is technically stronger than me. However, this is not truly the case, because he does not have access to the same powers I do, unless I use them. If I use something on him, that is the only way he is able to use it on me. And that is why I have not encountered him. I would have hunted him down. I would have attempted to kill him. But that wouldn't be a good idea. Now would it? So instead, I've kept running through time and space, through these universes, to see if I could escape. But he's here. And he's coming. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know how strong he will be. But I need to train. I need to become stronger. I need to learn the art of splash damage, because with it, I will truly become unstoppable, even to Zolg. Nothing will stand in my way from destroying him and becoming truly the greatest creature in the universe, and from gaining the power I truly wish to have. The power to change reality. Because with this power, what could possibly stand in the way of saving my family? I wish to do nothing more than to save them. At all costs, I will save them all. That is why I am here. That is why I have this friend group. these people are not only just my friends, but they are also people I can use. People that will understand to do what they're told and to understand the reasons behind all of this. I know you guys are watching. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for the next episode or movie. Just hit me up on Discord and I'll find you. Beseeched, I must learn the art. However, time is running out. I feel his presence. It draws near. I must relocate. I'm not safe. None of you are either. Run. Run to the bunker. I'll find you. I hope.